Now, Animmersion, you've never heard them, have you? They're an immersive technology company based in Boho 1 in Middlesbrough. And they are genuinely one of the area's sort of little-known digital pioneers. Their story is a phenomenal one, and they knock doors out of windows. Now, I went along to meet up with Andy Little, and I asked him what they actually do. Always start off with the best questions.
We do an awful lot, but we're usually behind the scenes, so you don't see our name a lot. What we do is take the technologies of the computer game industry, the entertainment industry, so things like animation, virtual reality, augmented reality, and we use those tools to help heavy industry, manufacturing, healthcare, the arts, heritage, lots of different sectors. We help them to either explain really complicated products or processes, or make really exciting visitor attractions and experiences. So we do a huge amount, but usually you will see the end product that one of these companies is showing off, and it's usually us who've made it.
Now, you're not the new kids on the block, are you? You've been around a while. How long have you been here in Middlesbrough doing this?
We've been here in Middlesbrough doing this for 20 years this year, pretty much. So we started originally, Sam, our CEO, who is sat just outside this office, came from Teesside University's VR centre. We were all students together at Teesside for 4 or 5 years, and when we all went our separate ways, he began working for the VR Centre. This is 25 years ago, something like that. A time in which most people wouldn't have thought VR existed. It did. It was very different to what you see today, with these lovely white, low-cost light headsets you can buy from Argos. This was I think a £6 million supercomputer hidden in the university with one headset that was connected to pulleys and things. This is a completely different world. So Sam, when the VR Centre at Teesside Uni disbanded, Sam set up Animmersion at that point, and together with myself and other students who we were all kind of mates together at uni, set up the company to provide these kind of technologies to companies who are in this region.
What a leap. When you go to university and you want it for your kids, you want them to go and get a job. You don't want them to jump into a new technology that may or may not put food on the table. You know, what was the vibe back then? Was it, could you see that there was going to be a future for VR and what you were doing, or was it just a suck it and see how it goes?
Really good question, actually, because the name itself, whilst it's impossible to spell, we get asked how to spell it so many times. Animmersion. Animmersion, the name, was because Sam really did have faith that immersive animated content, hence the two words slammed together, was going to be the future, was going to be something that would help people train better, help people understand complex things. And in the early days, there was just no way to get that technology on people's heads.
Was many people doing it?
Not at all. So what we started doing was 3D computer animation. So these are the kind of things where you'd see a fly round of a building that was going to be built in a couple of years' time. I think the very first contract was to do a 3D animation of a university that was being built in Dubai or something. So as more and more people were looking at architectural 3D, so visualization of buildings that didn't exist yet, that's where our bread and butter work was for years. And then because the technology to do that became kind of democratized, there was Google SketchUp, it was called at the time. A lot of architectural firms who might come to us for a really fancy looking animation said, oh, well, we can start to do this ourselves in-house, so our work starts drying up in that realm.
Because the tech's catching up.
The tech's catching up, yeah. So then we have to look to the next thing. So what is it then that these industries can't do that we can offer with the skills we've got? Which meant we've constantly diversified what we do. We started as an animation company who knew that eventually immersive tech was going to become a big thing, but the world wasn't ready for it 20 years ago.
Do you know what I've got in my head? What I'm imagining you're on Wallace and Gromit, where he sat on the train and laying the track as it's going.
Laying the track before the train.
And that is animation. Going right the way through.
Everything we do is based around solving a challenge for someone, and usually that's a communication challenge. It's really hard to describe this thing or this process, so we help people describe things really succinctly. The wind turbine one, this was years ago with Heriot-Watt University and one of the wind turbine training facilities up in Scotland. They were spending a lot of money training engineers to get them to a certain level of competency before they were even allowed to step onto a wind turbine platform. And what was happening was, once they'd stepped onto the wind turbine platform and they realised what that work environment was like, the claustrophobia in the lifts, the height of the thing, some of the tight spaces they were going to have to get into, the weather, the sound, all of these things, we were able to produce a simulation of that wind turbine work environment so that they could try that out really early with people before they spent a lot of money training them, so they could kind of work out whether that job was right for them before they even set off on that career journey.
It's fascinating what they do. It genuinely is. From that cohort of clever folk leaving Teesside University to set up that business, it's amazing. Now, in the next 20 minutes, you're going to hear Andy talk more about the importance about the local tech sector as a global player. And it genuinely, we do have that weight and that gravity in the world's arena when it comes to tech. It is phenomenal to hear, and you'll hear more from Andy in the next 20. BBC. So if you missed part one of a conversation I had last week, when I was off last Thursday, I popped out to go and see Andy Liddell. He's from a company called Animmersion, and they're an immersive technology company based in the Borough. And what that means, you put like a headset on. You know when you go into like sites like Rightmove and you can go around a house by clicking on the little dots. They make stuff like that. But also what they do, they make like headset sort of rooms. So if you work in the wind farm industry, so you can climb up a wind farm turbine and just see what it's like to be in that space. They are so good. And what Andy wants to do is spread the word of what they can do and how they can compete with other digital tech companies anywhere in the world.
Some of the big players who have moved on to Teesport and are developing incredible wind turbine facilities and things here, quite a lot of the time those big players have already got contracts with companies who are a bit like us but are probably much bigger than us, whereas we're literally on their doorstep and they're maybe not aware of us. It's really just about the volume of our voice here. Whilst we're 20 years old and we're a relatively small company, we've got a huge amount of experience, but we maybe can't shout as loud as some of those other big agencies that do that. The work has taken us all around the world. We've done stuff in lots of different countries and probably every sector imaginable, but we rooted the company in Teesside because we saw that opportunity 20 years ago. There is companies on our doorstep here who we've worked with for that long, clients who are 17, 18 years old, helping them to describe really difficult or even dangerous industrial processes here on Teesside for training, for kind of marketing their fantastic product that does something really safely. So Teesside's always been a big part of Animmersion. We're always keen to work with people who are on our doorstep because there's nothing better than a face-to-face meeting rather than a Teams call across the Atlantic. We've always looked back to Teesside to look for talent. We've employed lots of graduates from Teesside in the past, but I think a big part of it for us is that there was all of these other opportunities to move to Manchester or to move to London. I think we're one of the only companies of that original set who kind of stuck it out here in Teesside. And partially that's because there's a great market here, but it's as much about the people, it's as much about the kind of place. I'm from Redcar originally. We've got a really good talent pool. We've got a real hidden gem in Teesside anyway. I know everyone says it from Teesside, but it's actually a really nice place to live. And it's a really affordable place to live for really talented people who might not want to be in London and might not want to be like looking for those really expensive apartments and houses and things to go and work at.
You can do the job here and have a few quid in your pocket.
Absolutely, yeah, no, absolutely. At the end of the day, yeah.
But what I love about this is, you know, here we are in Borehole 1 where you're based. in the boho spaces, you interlock with so many other little businesses. You've got your own little microculture that you all help each other. Do we shout about it enough here? You know, here I am with you, and you've blown my mind in the hour or so I've been with you.
Probably not, to be honest. There is some great things starting in Middlesbrough, and there's lots of companies coming together, and there's a great bunch of people here, and I don't think that's ever going to change. I think the technology will keep changing, the faces will keep changing, but thankfully it's a fantastic network, and making sure that that continues, I think, is the responsibility of the university, the council, and all of these people in the region to kind of embrace the skills that Teesside University gives students, so that they stay in the region, so that they go to local companies who need those skills. But also I think more can be done about attracting people in who didn't go to Teesside University. We shouldn't just be reliant on our local university. There's only so much they can do. The silver lining to COVID was us moving to a kind of a semi-hybrid remote way of working, where some of our workers, obviously we couldn't be in the office together, we had to kind of work out the technicalities of that at the time, but we were growing at the time, so we needed to bring on new staff, and for the first time ever it wasn't important that they lived on Teesside.
Yeah. So how do people find you? What socials?
Just go to our website, and that is animmersion.co.uk, and as I said at the start of this interview, the hardest word to spell. And that website opens with loads of really nice flashy bits of 3D animation that we've done for people, but if you dig a little bit deeper into the case studies and things, you'll see things like the wind turbine trainer, things we've done for Unipress in Sunderland. They make all the car parts for the Nissan factory. We do a overhead 3D virtual reality crane trainer for their staff. You'll be able to see projects spanning kind of 20 years of different things that we've done, and we're not as prevalent on X and LinkedIn and things, but you'll find us on there. It's just that those platforms, it's kind of like shouting into the void a lot of the time. It's not worth us spending a load of marketing on Facebook advertising and things like that. We spend a little bit now and again, but the best thing is have a look at our website. There's a phone number on there as well. It's an 01642 number. We are genuinely here in Middlesbrough. Give us a ring. Tell us what your problem is. Tell us what your challenge is. If you've got something really complicated, if you've got something that you're wanting to sell, like a great product or a process that needs to be explained, or something that you need to train a load of trainees on, then we can help with all of those different things. And you'd probably be quite surprised at how cost effective it is, because we've been doing it a lot longer than a lot of people, so we can do this really well and really efficiently.
Well, thanks for having us along this afternoon. I've been educated and I love it. Thank you very much.
No problem at all.
Sat in a nice boardroom there. It was wonderful. And to be with Andy and just everybody within that building is from the local area and feeding in and doing that wonderful stuff. 20 years they've been doing it. And it is just fantastic. I'm so very proud of where I'm from, because I just think there's so many amazing people that are making a difference right across the